Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Knit Girls. It's
Tuesday,
June 20-something. 25th.
Yep.
We're late this week because we had TNNA and it's been a long week already and it's only Tuesday. But anyway, I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les.
I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
And we're still in the same room.
Yay!
Still got,
For at least another week.
yeah. We gotta look at the calendar, but yeah, probably another week, maybe two. Just I don't know. I gotta look at the calendar. But anyway, we normally save the jabbery stuff till the end, so we'll continue that. What are you working on?
I am working on a new shawl.
The yarn is pretty. What is it?
It's very pretty. It's skein yarn.
Oh.
I bought it at the Loopy U. This is my Camp Loopy 1 project.
To do.
By Sunday.
Yeah, the end of the month.
This is how far I am. I cast it on today. I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. In fact, I texted a friend earlier and I was like, how long do you think it takes to knit 100 yards? And she just laughed at me. Because if I do 100 yards a day, I'll be fine. 100 yards a day of sock weight. But, you know, what's life without a little bit of excitement and extreme pressure of deadlines?
Constantly, yeah. So what are you actually making out of your
I am making this shawl right here. It's one of the fates of Greek mythology, and I am going to horribly butcher it if I try to say it, but it's A-N-A-N-K-E. It's a pattern by Shannon Squire. I'm using size 4 signature needles, and I'm just knitting away. So it's garter stitch at the front, and then it goes into like a 2x2 rib. It's really pretty, and it's been done around 150 times, I want to say. So there's a good bit out there. I really like, a bunch of people have done it in the like Noro sock, where it gradients down.
So what was the prompt for this Camp Loopy?
So Camp Loopy #1 was like 380 yards, which this uses 380 yards of a yarn that you've not used before.
Okay.
So this is top draw
I think it's top draw.
socks from Skein, who is based out of Australia. And I cannot tell you the colorway name because I cannot remember. It's something to do with water. So I'll look it up in a bit and I'll tell you after I go through all my stuff, and I'll interrupt Leslie and tell you what it is. But I'll go through my purchases from the Loopy U and log into my account.
Good thing you can do that digitally, huh?
I know. It's kind of scary that you can do it digitally. You can see how much money you've spent in the past year. So that's the first thing on my needles. The second thing on my needles, the next two things on my needles are socks. So we took a class with Kat Bordy on Thursday, and it was Sweet Tomato Heel. So she had, in addition to the Sweet Tomato Heel, she also went over a toe pattern that she likes to use that was taught to her by Judy Becker. And so there's a bit of a toe. It's kind of like the top of a hat, almost like a star toe. So, but in reverse from the toe up. So I started those. And this is a yarn by Skacel that we were given in the class. It kind of self-stripes a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like opal.
Yeah, a little bit. It's just a 100% merino, no nylon in it. But I'm giving it a try. I actually had a good bit further, maybe like another inch. And then Kat came in. Kat's thing for fit for socks is if you go like this and stretch out your toe and it fits over your foot, then that's where you should stop your increases. And then she says you can do increases where you need them on the sock and the bottom of the sock as needed for toe-up socks. So this is going to be a pair of Sweet Tomato socks. I'm just trying it out because I'm curious as to how it's going to fit. So she's a master. I'm going to take a little lesson from her and see my fit on those. And then the third thing that I'm knitting is some Inspiration Dye Works socks. Get a blocker. So these are arch-shaped socks. It's a paid-for pattern, and I'm knitting them. And the other socks that I had on size 1 needles. So, this is the first one. They're a little bit wonky looking when they're not on the blocker. And this is Caution Stripe colorway from Inspiration Dye Works. And it's got a series of increases and decreases, lines that kind of give it that arch-shaped from the bottom going all the way up. And I cast on the second one and knit a little bit in the car when I wasn't saving babies. I'll have to give you all the name of the apps that I use to save, the games that I play to save babies. And the share notes are at the end. And that's what the second one is starting to look like. So not very far, just the ribbing and then like another inch. So around 3 more inches to go, and then I'll start the heel. And those are knit on carbons, 2.25 millimeter size ones. And that's living in my bag that Seashore Sharon gave me, which is very nice.
She's a sweet person.
She is. The other 2 projects don't have bags because they've just been living inside giant other bags. And this one just hasn't gotten, I just cast it on, it hasn't gone into a bag yet. So that's it for me. What are you working on?
I'm working on 3 things and not working on several others. I didn't have a ton of time to knit this week, so I don't have a ton of progress to show on anything. Wednesday was supposed to be an 8-hour drive. It turned into more like 10 because of traffic, and then Sunday was an 8-hour drive, and then most of the time, aside from those days, it was taking classes, talking to people. There wasn't a ton of knitting time. So the 3 things that I've been working on.
Inlet is the name of that skiing colorway. INLET.
This is what I'm looking for.
See, I told you I'd interrupt you.
This is my Amy Beth TheKnitGirl Speaks sweater bag. For those that were interested, because I had a couple people ask me, she does do bags every couple weeks, but the prints are usually different from week to week. So this was, I think, her first or maybe her second ever fabric. I think it was her first. And,
I have a feeling it was her first.
I don't know that this is reproducible. I don't know if she has any more of this fabric, but she has cool fabric every week.
Every month, right? She updates around once a month?
Yeah, it might be. Well, she updates every 2 weeks, but I think it's yarn one time and bags another time.
Okay.
Something like that. Anyway, this is my Caulfield cardigan, which I do not have a copy of. But anyway, this is the back of it. That's actually the wrong side. And it's knit in Sparrow, Quince & Company Sparrow, which is 100% organic linen.
See, I think you've gotten tons of progress done on that.
I started this is what I worked on primarily until we left for TNNA. The armhole decreases I've started, and I think I've still got like 3 or 4 inches to go before I start the back of neck shaping. I haven't measured it in a while. Actually, I might be closer than I think. Sorry if you can hear the dog. It's dinner time, also known as pizza is being delivered time. So anyhow, this is the this is the Caulfield cardigan by Amy Herzog out of Sparrow, which is a Quince & Company linen. I think I already said that. These are I'm knitting it on my Haya Sharp interchangeables in the size 4, 3.5 millimeter size. And this is my 3rd ball, and I still have about half of it left. So, and if you're a smaller person, you probably only need a couple for the back. And so that's the first thing. It really hasn't been touched in almost a week, maybe more than a week. Second thing, I'm not certain where I was on these last week. I don't think I was this far. These are my Hugo socks, which is Stephanie Bold, a new free pattern that she put out. And I'm using my Nova fixed needles, which is a Knitter's Pride brand of needle. I think they were $5 or $6, and I really like them. And I have almost finished. I just have to Kitchener, which I really should do. Maybe I will once I finish showing them. I've finished except for the Kitchener. So it's got a bias pattern on the leg, which helps pull it in. It actually has like 80 stitches up here, and I thought, man, that's going to be way too big. And then I tried it on, and it wasn't at all. So anyhow, I need to Kitchener the toe, and then the first one will be done.
Yay! And that's the Simply Sock Company.
Yes, this is Simply Sock Yarn Company. They're post yarn. in the Seattle Coffee Blues colorway. And it's actually a Cordell nylon blend. So it's a little bit rougher when you're knitting it, but I have had 2 different people PM me and say that while it is a little bit rougher on your hands while you're knitting it, and really not, it's just more like rustic, it softens up considerably once you've washed. That's what I've been told. So, and that's living in one of my first Pitaloot ever bags. And then the third thing I'm working on, I cast on. I showed you guys the swatch, I think, last week. I started my Good Ale, which is a Cecily Glavick McDonald pattern, and it's just sort of a very light open cardigan, and I would like to have it done by SSK, which is about 3 weeks away.
You're totally going to get that done for SSK.
I just separated for the sleeves, so that's how much I've got done since the sleeves, which I separated last night, I think. And I'm using Elizabeth Lavold Silky Wool. I have 5 skeins, which should be enough. And I really like working with it. It is one that doesn't have a ton of give because it's got the silk in it, but it's still not really rough on my hands. Like, I don't feel like with the linen I have to take breaks because it doesn't give it all.
It doesn't have any stretch. Yeah.
And with this I don't. It's much, because it's also got cotton and wool and something else, nylon maybe in it. So it's a lot more, it's a lot softer and a lot stretchier than my linen. So that's about it.
It's a lot of stuff, dude.
It's a lot of stuff. It's not a lot of progress.
Oh,
so I'll go ahead and
some good progress.
Work through my next 2 segments. I've got no FOs or spinning, but Laura has got a little bit of both.
I have an FO, but it's upstairs drying. I finished Antler. Hey, Neelix. And Antler is done. Leslie was so sick of me. I had a little bit of a panic attack on probably Thursday night, Friday, because I just had a feeling I was going to run out of yarn.
Let's go back. It started on the drive Wednesday, where I'm stuck in the driver's seat driving, unable to knit or anything, save babies. And every hour, Laura would say, I think I'm going to run out of yarn. Or do you think this is enough to do this? Do you think maybe I could get another inch out of this? And like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to commiserate, but at a certain point I told her I was going to stab her if she asked me one more time.
So then I commiserated with other people.
Neelix doesn't mind you asking him.
Neelix, did I run out of yarn? I did. So I ran out of yarn. And luckily, I checked all the usual places and have some, and Loopy U, where I originally got my yarn, and this was Madtosh Vintage in the Rainwater colorway, was out. And then Jimmy Beans was out, and Webb's had maybe a scan stock, but that worried me. So I remembered when I drove through House of Yarn, Meg had told me that they were getting in a shipment of vintage, and she had shown me all the lists of the colorways that they were getting in, and I was like, oh, I have this one, and this one, and I remembered that, and so I called House of Yarn, and that afternoon, Friday afternoon, they sent it on the mail. It got here Monday, and all I needed was button bands, so it used around half a skein to do my 2 button bands, around 100 yards, so, but she was really sweet. Whoever answered the phone at House of Yarn was amazing. They were like, is it more of a blue gray? Is it more of a gray? Because
although, tauntingly, we walked past the Madeline Tosh booth at TNNA several times, and they had the exact skein that she needed. But you can't buy things at in the it's kind of a misnomer. Like, you can place orders for your shop, but you cannot, money cannot change hands on the show floor at TNNA.
Yep. So, those are the rules. It's not to say that we didn't break the rules sometimes, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
So it got here Monday. I knit the first button band yesterday, knit the second one today, washed it. It's upstairs drying outside.
I walked home. I got home and walked up, and I don't have an extravagant house. Like, my house is small, but I walked out and I've got this little porch, and my fancy blocking boards, my foam letters are outside on the porch, and there's a wet sweater and
with
a
a fan
blowing. Okay. I'm surprised Laura told me that she was going to soak it earlier, and I figured that she would you stop? I figured that she would wait to show it on the podcast, but
I wanted it done, and then I went and grabbed the buttons, and I dropped one. I had gotten these gorgeous ceramic buttons at Maryland Sheep and Wool, and I broke one. So I'm going to have to go buy some buttons. Now I have 4 instead of the 5 that I was going to use.
It'll be pretty for something else.
I think it'll be good for me to have more durable buttons on there anyway, because I can see me throwing this, like, it's a really nice, like, comfy cardigan, kind of like your calligraphy is. So I can see me throwing it places and not treating it quite nicely. So
I mean,
it's
that's the
better
way I am
not to
with
have
my
the
sweaters.
ceramic
I take them off and I throw them on the counter or the table. And if the buttons are going to break, then yeah, it's probably better to know now than when you have to take them all off and put on more durable buttons. Neelix, I don't need a bath. Where's Daddy? Go find Daddy. I'm all gross and dog saliva now. Sorry.
Where's Kobe?
Go see Kobe.
Yes.
So that was her FO. She'll actually show it to you next time.
Yes.
She'll probably be wearing it because even though it's like 75 down here, she's freakishly cold all the time.
And I left my sweatshirt in my car because I had it on earlier, and then I went to the post
calligraphy? Because
office.
you're welcome
I'm
to it.
okay. Actually, your shawl would match my shirt very well. Because look, I've got my killer rabbit.
Oh, Snoopy.
Snoopy's a killer rabbit. And I could wear this.
Oh, and I'm using my little Friday Studios bag.
I love those bags. I need to show
she
mine
sent us
later.
a couple, and they're super sweet. I love pigs, and I had told her that I loved pigs, not so that she would send me something, just because it was a comment on an Instagram picture. But she's
They're
very sweet.
very cool.
She does some that are like kaleidoscope, and so they're all fitted together in a really cool geometric pattern. But it's the same. They're the same size. But in here I've got my. Oh goody, he found a toy. I've got my scissors and my chibi needle and some waste yarn because I was using that to put my sleeves on waste yarn.
Mine's steampunk with a cephalopod. It's very cool. Anyway, so that was it for me for finished objects. Spinning, I did finish something before we went. When we got a rental car, it ended up being a minivan. And
which is not what we rented.
No,
we paid
not.
for a very small car. When we got there, they were disorganized and said, oh, you can just have this one for the same price. And it was a minivan with DVD screens, USB, and AC power outlets in the back.
And so I jokingly told Leslie that I was going to take the mini spinner and spin in the back and watch DVDs the whole time she drove, and that did not go over well. So before I left, I finished playing my Hello Yarn. This is I think it's organic merino, or it's just merino, in the Over Font colorway. It was a club colorway that I scooped up in a D-stash, and I got around 400 yards, probably right at 400 yards. It's poofed a little bit, so it might be a little bit less than that, but I think this is going to be something for one of the girls, one of my nieces. It's a little bit pastel. And now my friend Steven always says, like, pastels aren't real colors.
Yeah.
They're wannabe colors. And now I have that stuck in my head.
No offense to anybody who likes pastels.
But, so 400 yards of merino, super squishy. I love Adrienne's colorways. She does a great job dyeing. If you ever are looking, can scoop up some Hello Yarn in a D-stash or go to yarn school.
Yeah.
It
Those
is.
are the only 2 ways you'll get it if you're not in the club.
She does updates every once in a while, but it is very fast.
Cutthroat.
Yes. Kind of like the nestlets were this yesterday.
I didn't even look.
But that's that. One more thing off the wheel. And I'm gearing up for Tour de Fleece, so I might finish. I have a loop bat on the sidekick. I might try to finish that up a little bit this week and be ready to go on Saturday, where I am in Team Into the World and Team Southern Cross Fibers.
I've decided I'm going to be in Team Nobody because with SSK coming up and the prep that we've still got a few little I's to dot and T's to cross, I'm just not going to commit myself to anything because, you know, I still work during the day and there's just no time. So I'm going to spin. I'm definitely going to spin every day, but I'm going to definitely take it easy on myself and just do what I want to do when I want to do it.
That's a good plan.
But anyhow, I have a book review. So this is one of the books that we got at TNNA. We were able to meet the designer, who was very sweet.
Yes.
And she gave us this to review on the show.
So this is Sunday Drive by Kate Jackson. Like Leslie said, we got to meet her at TNNA. The hard copy of the book is $23 US. The digital version, which is available through Ravelry, is $19.95. So there are 11 total patterns in here if you count different weights of yarn as different patterns, which the designer does on Ravelry. There is a gorgeous visual index, so you can see everything that is in the book.
Yeah, I like the big pictures that she has.
And I think one of the things that I really like about this book is that there are a variety of pictures and the charts are very large. So the horizon scarf is the very first thing. She also does great explanations of the construction of the shawl, so you know or whatever the product is, so you exactly know what you're doing going into it. So this one is a curved scarf that hugs your necks and shoulders to ward off the chill on your next adventure. It's easy to knit. A simple garter stitch arc created by short rows, so you know there's short rows going into it, is edged with a rib lacy ruffle. And this is either in a worsted weight or a fingering weight. She gives you lots of yarn options, recommendations, including Plymouth, kettle dyed, superwash merino, metal and Tosh vintage, or Debbie Bliss Rialto Aran. And then the same with the fingering weight. Like we said earlier, lots of big pictures. And lots of pictures in general. To go with that scarf, there's the horizon mitts, which are knit in the round but are good garter stitch, and those are out of a worsted weight. Yep. With a little ruffle.
I like the colors that she chose for pretty much every pattern.
The malted milk shawl is a worsted weight.
And it's designed to be knit in something nice and light and lofty like alpaca.
Yep.
And it's got very clear charts as to how to mold the colors together.
Cobblestone beret, which I believe is an Aran heavy worsted weight. So that would be a quick last minute gift for someone very special to you. So, and she recommends Shelter, which that's what that yarn is in the cover. I love the tweedy bits of Shelter.
That would be a good use for it. I question using Shelter for a sweater just because of its... I need my sweaters to be very hardy, and I'm not certain Shelter is.
Definitely that loftiness, because it is a woolen spun, doesn't make it the most long wearing of fibers. She also recommends Plymouth Tweed or Queensland Kathmandu Aran. I'm probably butchering that. Then this is, I think, my favorite piece in here. It's this transcontinental shawlette, which is a triangle scarf using around 400 yards of a fingering weight.
So it's nice for that special skein that you pick up.
She recommends hazel knits or Mad Tosh sock or Shalimar Breathless. The covered bridge beret. It's also very pretty, very slouchy. Malabrigo silky merino, so DK weight. So lots of variety in the weights as well. And she recommends a single ply silk and wool blend to give it that gorgeous sheen and definition. There's another picture. Then there's the coffee shop cowl, which is Fair Owl.
Probably what I like the best in this book.
There's also, it goes to say that there's a lot of different techniques that could be utilized or learned in this book. The short rows, the Fair Owl, cables. Coffee shop cowl uses silky wool, so what you're using right now, or Barocco alpaca light, or St. Denis Nordique. So again, lots of combinations, lots of suggested yarns to choose from. Rambling hat and mitts. The hat pattern does come in adult size and in a toddler size, which is super cute. Let me find the little baby.
Yeah, the pictures just slay me.
She is really adorable. So toddler version. There's mitts to match. There's a picture of that again. And there's also a very clear abbreviations and chart key page. And that's about the size of most of the charts in the book. It's nice and clear. So if you're one of those people that constantly gets frustrated because you have to blow up charts, this might be a good, clear book for you. Again, this is Sunday Drive by Kate Jackson. It retails for $22.95 for the paperback, but $19.95 if you get on Ravelry as a download. So we want to thank Kate for giving that to us, and we look forward to more designs from her.
Yeah, Laura pointed out that she's the person who did a calendar, right?
A guy's calendar of patterns earlier this year.
Which is cool. So yeah. Most of what we've got left to talk about is TNNA, so if you aren't interested in hearing about that, it's totally fine. We don't blame you at all. But we did have a really good time. So we left on Wednesday, and we left probably around 10-ish, and we got there around 8.
And we stopped at Sarris's for ice cream.
Yes, we stopped at Sarris's in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. And let's see.
I made Leslie drive past my old house.
Yeah, she did. And it was a very pretty house. And that was in Canonsburg, or very close.
It's McMurray, but close, yeah.
Let's see. We got there Thursday morning. We went to a couple of shops. We went to, do you remember?
It was like the Yarn Company or something like that, like the yarn shop, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was the yarn shop or that yarn shop or something like that. And it was in sort of a strip mall sort of area, and they had a lot of really nice stuff. We actually met a fan there, or a viewer, who was really sweet. And Laura got some opal sport weight.
I did.
And I got some pretty buttons. I don't know where they are, so I'll show you next week.
Show you. We're going to kind of spread out the showing of the things.
And then we went to Knitter's Mercantile,
which was very nice.
She has a very nice shop, and she let us play with her
ball winder.
Her Nancy's Knit Necks. It's a heavy-duty wooden ball winder, which was very nice of her, because she explicitly has instructions that say do not play with the ball winder. Because it's an expensive piece of equipment to have someone break.
Oh, yes.
But anyhow, on Thursday we took a 6-hour class with Kat Bordy, primarily on Sweet Tomato Hill, but she taught a lot of other things in the class, a lot of other tips and tricks.
And we got Jenny's ice cream.
We did get Jenny's ice cream. Jenny's is semi-local to the Columbus area, and it is a chain. For some reason I thought it was just that one, but there's more. There's more than one, which is good because it was very good ice cream. And
it's delicious.
We had Mexican a couple times.
All the things Leslie can't get in New Jersey.
Yeah, there's just no good Mexican food around me that I've been able to find. And let's see, Friday, we had other events we had to get to in the afternoon at the convention center. We also did Sample It.
Yes, so Sample It is the only place at TNNA where you can purchase things, and what it is the some of the retailers who have booths at the TNNA floor show put together kind of like kits, and they sell them. So if your Lorna's Laces had like a kit for a cowl, and 2 skeins of yarn, and they sell everything at wholesale because it's really only people who can purchase wholesale who go to these events. So, for example, Laura Nelkin was selling like kits of 5 of her Pioneer bracelets for a certain amount of money. So the idea behind Sample It is you can try things that you might want to carry in your shop, but don't want to make a huge commitment, because a lot of times these yarn companies have a minimum order that you have to place. So it might be $500. I think Spud and Chloe is something like $3,000.
Yeah, it varies by the company.
So before you spend $3,000 on a line, you might want to try it first and really knit with the yarn. Or if you already carry the line and they have a new colorway or base, this way you can get that. For example, Swans Island had their new Superwash DK weight, and you can actually get it before you order it on the floor and make your shop model sample
and have it ready when your order gets there,
a month and a half later. So that's the purpose behind Sample It.
So
We
Laura
just
and I
went
went in
and
there.
played.
We went in there with the intent to look at 3 booths. We got split up after about 60 seconds, found each other an hour later, going, oh my God, I shouldn't be trusted with a credit card. So we both found some good things, and we're actually going to kind of spread out and show you 1 or maybe 2 things a week, just because we don't want, all these things are really lovely, and we don't want them to get lost in us just going 30 minutes through things that we got.
Plus, some of the people gave stuff for y'all, so we'll have some giveaways as well coming up.
Yes, and so after that, there was the fashion show. I'm going to try to put some pictures at the end of this show to let you see. Some items were really beautiful. Some items were really, they just spoke to people being out of touch with trends, I think is the nicest way I can say it.
There was a whole section of super bulky neons that was very interesting on both, not only on the fashion show, but also on the floor.
On the show floor, yeah.
So that was really interesting. It was, neons are being produced in yarn, for sure.
Superwash baby yarn.
Yeah, Encore has a whole neon line now. Westminster Fibers, their whole booth was neon, so it's interesting to see, because I work with middle schoolers. They've been wearing a ton of like the printed jeans, 80s tastic.
Yeah, the whole 80s color scheme seems to be trying to make a comeback. I would prefer that it didn't, but I'm one person, and I'm also definitely not a fashionista, so
I also like, there was someone in our group who did like the Gramps cardigan, or one of the like little kid cardigans in black with neons, and it was super cute. So I think on kids, neons can be super cute, plus you won't lose them, like the actual kids, if they're in neons.
Probably nobody will steal it. But anyhow, yeah, so we had that evening. And let's see, then we had dinner with Emo, right?
Yes, we did. We went out to dinner with our friends, Eat My Oxygen on Ravelry.
Sarah is her actual name.
And her son Eli, who was super well behaved. And we got sushi.
Yep.
Which was good.
And then the next night we also got sushi. With a friend of ours from Cooperative Press. But anyhow, so Saturday was market day. But it was also, we had a class with Boone Sheridan. Who, if you've taken the Craftsy class on photography, it's taught by his wife, Caro Sheridan. And anyway, he had some really cool and interesting things to say.
I'm interested to see what, based on that, what social media y'all are on, because I'm thinking of dumping, because one of the things he talked about was going from like, oh my gosh, I must be on every social media known to man. And really, I've caught myself being very overwhelmed with how much social media I'm on, to I want to be just on these and targeting that to y'all.
Yeah.
So we might have a little survey up, because obviously 90% of you are on Ravelry, I would say, but I want to know where else you all are.
So then it was market time.
Yes.
And we did a lot of walking around. We had lunch with Sherry of Loopy U, which was wonderful. Sherry's always
fun.
It's always nice to sit down with her and, you know, talk about what's up and coming, what's cool is going on with her, and she's very supportive of us and the show and the retreat, and we're grateful for that. She's also donating something for the door prizes, which is very cool.
At SSK,
yep. And then we went back to market and kind of, we talked to a bunch of folks. We talked to Ravelry folks, Cooperative Press, Craftsy, so many yarn companies.
So many designers.
Yes, that surprised me. There were a lot of designers there that had their own booths. And TNNA is not an inexpensive event to have a booth at. In fact, it is probably one of the priciest events to have a booth at that I can think of. But still, it was very nice to see all these. There were still a fair number of indie people, whether they were designers, yarn producers, fiber producers, what have you, which was really nice. And also, who was Isolde in a booth with? I can't remember the lady's name.
Isolde, it's a lot of times it's the people who distribute their patterns. So like Deep South Fibers was there, and they had a bunch of.
This was a different booth, but it was near. Yeah, it was near. I can't remember.
It was near. We got to meet Willie Wormhead, which was super fun.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun in person. But Isolde is working on a collaboration of patterns for the. It says it's going to be released in autumn of this year. That's what it said. I'll believe that when I see it. But she had all the samples from the book.
Oh, so much fun.
It's going to be called Rhinebeck Sweaters. So it's a book of Rhinebeck sweaters. And there were several that I really liked. Now, I can't tell you if they were all designed by Isolde because it's a collaboration with a bunch of people. But there were some really nice sweaters in that.
And it also all used yarn from Rhinebeck. So like the yarn is available like Miss Babs at Rhinebeck. So every single yarn was purchased from someone who sells at Rhinebeck, which I thought was a very neat idea as well.
And it's going to be to some degree kind of like the Cooperative Press Madame Defarge book, where there's little essays and things written by the authors or the designers as well. So
it's going to be very neat. I'm very interested in seeing that.
I am too. I'm very interested in seeing how it's put together and all that.
Because layout can really make or break a book as well.
This is true. But it was also really nice to meet people and kind of... Sorry, I don't know what that is. Humidifier kicked on. It was really nice to meet people and determine... So, we'll just be blunt and say that we were shopping for teachers.
For SSK.
For future events.
Yep.
And it was nice to be able to meet some of those people in person and either check them as absolutely I want this person at some point, or maybe not this time, you know, because we don't just want you to learn a lot, we really want you to enjoy your time with the teachers, and so we try to make sure personalities mesh.
And we have certain expectations for our teachers that they socialize with y'all
a certain
as well.
percentage of the time, right? I mean, not...
So,
you know,
it's hard finding that happy medium, and we've been very fortunate with the people that we've gotten so far.
And we found some really wonderful candidates, so we'll keep you guys updated as we determine, like, as we set things in stone. We will never announce anything until there's a contract, and it is for sure, because we feel like that'd be a little bit of false advertising. So, anyhow, market was awesome. We got lots of great stuff, including some things for the tasting room. So
because Yarn Mercantile, or Knitter's Merchant, was it Knitter's Mercantile?
Mercantile, yeah.
Yeah. Allowed us to play with her ball winder.
By Nancy's Knit-Knacks. So for anybody that knows it, it's the big wooden heavy duty ball winder.
And I've been shopping for a big heavy duty ball winder because I have, where are they? The massive skeins from Unwind, but also I love Cascade Ecological Wool. And with spinning, if I spin 8 ounces and get that all on one bobbin, I want to be able to wind it into a ball. So we got for the tasting room.
AKA going to end up at Laura's house.
Just this one thing.
Yeah, just this thing.
That I must have.
And it's the Nancy's Knit-Knacks ball winder. So this way you'll have time to play with it and really determine whether it's something you want to invest in.
Because it is an investment.
It absolutely is. But if you're an indie, it might be a worthwhile one. You never know.
Yep. Or if you have your own yarn shop.
Yes. So that was Laura's treat.
I must have this.
I also got one. Not a ball winder.
You got a treat.
I got a treat. So as we went to go and talk to the Shocked Spindle folks, who they also make wheels.
They've been very good to us with the tasting room.
They've been very considerate and kind, and they've worked with us really nicely for events for last year and for this year. So I wanted to make sure that I made a point to go and speak to the lady that I've been working with and thank her for being considerate with us. And while I was there, I noticed, hey, there's a Swift there. Shack doesn't make Swifts. And she was like, oh, this is brand new. It's not even on the site yet. You want to see it?
It is awesome.
Hell yes, I want to see it. So it's an umbrella Swift. And it's so much more.
It's on ball bearings.
It is. So the part that rotates. So think kind of like the Knit Picks Swifts. It's the same.
Like the one right behind you.
Yeah. So I don't know that you can see this. You know what? This might be a good thing to do. So it's kind of like this. Much better quality, but the basic setup is the same. Where this extends, sorry.
Someone's going to lose it on.
Here, it has rubber grommets to keep it from, because eventually this yarn will wear out and fall apart. It's also, the way that you open it is on the top. You unscrew it to loosen it, and then you can open it or close it very easily with no tension on the bottom. So there's no weight on the bottom of it that'll eventually collapse it. It's very strong and it's held at the top. So it sits, and it's also got a yarn
So it uses
meter.
gravity to its advantage. So I can undo this with one hand, hold my skein of yarn over here,
And open it.
and
Yes.
have it fully out.
It's also got a yarn meter. You can get it with or without, but it's got a yardage counter on the side. And so it's really cool, right? But then it gets cooler. So it's on, you have this little screw on the bottom, and you clamp it to a table, and then you tighten the screw so it doesn't go anywhere.
And it's got a crazy clamp that she says can fit almost any table.
Yeah, it's really heavy duty. So everything about this is very heavy duty, long lasting, not a cheap piece of equipment. And it's not a cheap piece of equipment. But anyway, so it's cool enough like that. But also, it's got this hinge right here, and you can also have it clamped to a table and fold it completely down, completely
this way.
horizontal. And so then you can use it as a skein winder. So you can, sorry. So you can have it out, and you can measure around and figure out the whatever the circumference is, and then you can use it to wind yarn just like you would a skein winder from your spinning wheel. Or if you're an indie, you can use it to wind yarn off of cones for dyeing. It's just such a cool piece of equipment, and Shock makes wonderful products. So, and it's not even on their website yet, and we got one coming to the tasting room. So you will get to play with this if you're going to SSK in the tasting room.
Or after you buy all the yarn at the market, you can wind your yarn
This is true.
on the heavy duty ball winder in cool Swift.
And this is staying with me. So Laura got a pretty, and I got a pretty. But we are happy to share them with you guys for the tasting room, because we think both are really high quality products. They're made in the United States. And we really like the companies that produce these items. So
The people who work, not only the companies themselves, but the people who work for these companies, and we met the owners of both companies, are just incredibly sweet and nice.
yes.
Nancy was amazingly helpful.
And her husband wanted to tell us about how everything worked. And he was very nice, but we're like, you are over our head at this point. And he has some, also if you're an indie and you're looking for like an electric skein winder, they've got a really clever setup, so you might want to check them out.
Definitely.
Also, I wanted to each week just talk about a little something that we got in the market to try out, because people are very considerate, and usually they'll have little teeny tiny samples that they'll give out if you ask, to kind of get a feeling for their product.
Yep.
It's normal, they're free, because you can't.
There's also a wall of yarn and fiber where you can grab individual strands or individual things of fiber off of.
So this might have been one of my favorite things from the event, primarily because the lady was so flippin' sweet, and I just have a thing about natural fibers. So let me get the card, because it's buried in here somewhere. That is not it, but it's right here. Well, it's on these. So it's by Lucky Cat. So it's Lucky Cat Craft, and she does have her own site. It's luckycatcraft.etsy.com. She does sell retail, it's not just wholesale. And her sort of niche is all natural but luxury fibers. And so she gave us tons of stuff to play with, some of which I really want to play with on my supported spindles, or drop spindles maybe, because it's only tiny bits of each, which is totally fine because it's still money that she's giving away. So the first is Muga Silk Top, and I asked her what the difference between Muga Silk and like mulberry or bombyx, and it's a different type of worm, and it actually produced that color of silk. It's not bleached or colored in any way. It's this beautiful kind of honey natural kind of fawn color. So that's one of them. There's lots more. There's 50% camel, 50% muga.
There's a possum blend that she had that was
Yes.
gorgeous.
So this is 50% ultra fine merino, 30% muga silk, 20% yak. And she had spun samples of almost everything. Oh God, I wanted to steal it all. This one, oh, this is one of the blends. 45% cashmere, 40% silk, and 15% New Zealand possum.
That one just intrigues me.
And it's not like the U.S. possum. It's the New Zealand possum, which their fiber actually is a hollow core, like Kiviot. So, but yeah, they are considered pests
And
there.
they have to kill them because they're destroying the ecosystem.
Yeah. This is plain mulberry silk in that beautiful natural color. This is plain fine South African mohair. But I mean, there's a dozen more. If you want, oh, here's her plain card. There we go. Her name is Kim Simler, and this is all of her information. But if you want to look at her stuff, it's luckycatcraft.etsy.com, and she has beautiful, beautiful natural colors. So if you're interested in any of that, I would go and check her out. I know that she got some orders from some companies there. Oh, that one's a 20% New Zealand possum. Oh God, I just want to spin it all. It's all so beautiful. There's airy silk top.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many.
She's got unique and different stuff, which is
Plain
important.
cashmere in different colors. So yeah, I'm excited to test these out and play with them and see what I get. It'd be nice to just spin little bits, you know.
Yeah.
Be done with one in an evening, just little bits. So.
Yep. Definitely.
We definitely want to thank Kim for talking to us for so long, because she did sit and chat with us for a long time. And yeah, so we'll talk about another thing next week. I understand you, sweetheart. Sorry, my son is telling me that the pizza's here because the barking did not give it away.
Earlier. So the last thing, well, we have two things. So we got the Ply magazine, which is a publication by J.C. Boggs.
First issue,
and we'll go in more in depth in a review of this later, but we wanted to point something out to y'all. Let me get to it. Okay, so on page 82, it talks about upcoming events.
and there's this one you might have heard of.
And Super Summer Knit Together is the very first event on the very first page. So, we kind of knew this was coming out. We didn't want to count our chickens before we were hatched.
expected a 1/24th size.
Yeah, like
notice.
a very small piece, but it's very large. And there's some other great retreats that take place actually all around the world listed here. But we're right there, front and center.
Which is super exciting, and we are so stoked to have JC coming to teach at our event next month. And she actually messaged us last week and let us know that she's excited to come, but the response has been so overwhelming. She's already had to order a second printing of the magazine. It's completely sold out everywhere, and so she's had to order a second printing. They're excited about the next issue, and so while she is stoked to come and teach for us, she actually is leaving right after her last class because she's got to go back and do photo shoots and stuff for the next magazine. So we're excited to have gotten her while we could.
Yeah. So that's very, very cool. Also, Leslie put up today in the Super Summer Knit Together group, the SSK group, the roommate assignments, and she hot linked everyone. You hot linked Datsu's wrong. I don't know if that was on purpose or not.
Did I?
Yeah, it was some like crochet cotton thread, so I fixed it for you.
Oh.
It was like very funny, and I was like, maybe she did that on purpose.
No,
But I was like,
to.
I'll fix it. Like Susan cares. But
Well, there was only 100 and some odd people on that list, and I was like doing that and on a conference call at work, and trying to.
Oh, I was laughing my butt off because it was like Aunt Katie's crochet con is what it linked to.
Well, for whoever that poor person is that got linked, I'm sorry.
That was a yarn that it linked to.
Okay.
But it was very funny.
Yes, so if there's any questions or if you have any concerns, I'm pretty sure that I got everybody's needs set. So if there's, for any reason, there's something that you need to discuss, just email me. It's youdontcallmeless@gmail.com, and I'll work with you to get whatever it is that needs to be fixed. We'll get it worked out. So
Cool.
Yep, so that is, by the time that you guys see this, it'll be Wednesday.
3
so
weeks.
It'll be 3 weeks away, which is good. We are finalizing the delivery. Actually, both the yarn and the fiber have been shipped.
Yep.
The majority, actually, I think the last thing got shipped yesterday.
Everything's been shipped.
So we'll assemble the goodie bags. We'll be ready for you guys when you get here. If you ask for anything on the concierge service, we'll make sure that gets taken care of. We're stoked. We're ready to have you guys in Nashville.
Wheezy's very excited as well.
Wheezy is Laura's father. We also refer to him as Mayor Wheezy. In fact, I may get him a lanyard that says Mayor Wheezy.
That would be hilarious.
Because he likes to talk to everybody. Genuinely enjoys speaking to everybody. So.
He was cracking me up. The lady that we met at the yarn shop on the first day posted a picture of us and her on the Facebook group.
Oh.
And Weezy put, now I know what Katy Perry's dad feels like. And I was like, these things are not,
Sorry.
They're really not. But thank you, Weezy.
Nothing against Katy Perry, but we're not the Katy Perry of the knitting world. We are very humble and very grateful, but we are not Katy Perry. But anyhow, my face is getting red from drinking wine. So I'm going to say we hope that you guys have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you again. It'll be the final day of June when we talk to you. So it'll be.
I better get this done.
The last day. Oh, I wanted to talk about the sweater knit along.
Oh, and SS and the
Y'all are
Stashish.
blowing me away. I mean, there are some flippin' beautiful things out there.
I think my queue's grown by like 800 patterns.
I can't. Some of you guys knit so fast it hurts. And I've just been going through click and love buttons. So thank you for everybody who's participating. I wish that we could give you guys all gift certificates, but unfortunately the Knit Girls is not doing that good. So we do want to say thank you. And if you wanted to enter to win, make sure that you enter by the 31st of June.
Yep.
We will leave it open until midnight on the
or until
January,
we
February,
remember.
March, April, May,
I think it's
June.
the 30th.
It's the 30th. So that'll be Sunday. It's the 30th. But we'll leave it open. So you'll still, anyway, we'll leave it open until the 30th.
I think we're going to have some extra prizes as well.
So I think I can probably come up with several. But thank you to everybody who's participated already. So.
Yep. And Dash is going wonderful, and a bunch of people have already hit the goal.
Oh,
so that's very cool. It's making me try to clean off my needles more. I got 1,500 yards from Antler. So, yay!
More power, y'all. That's never going to happen, I don't think.
You did this. How many yards was this?
800.
Yeah.
Ish. Maybe a little more.
See?
Yeah.
You could do it. Steven's going to do it. He's going to blow us all away.
Yeah. Well, Amy's going to blow us all away. She's counting every, 20-yard thing. I'm like, you rock on, girl. But anyway, y'all have a great week. We'll talk to you again on Sunday. And until then, happy knitting.
Bye, y'all.
Just kidding.
We're back. We forgot. We have a great contest for this week, so I'm going to talk about that real fast. So Laura of Inspiration Dye Works. Let me see if I have her card in here. Yep. Lovely Laura is going to give y'all, and she's the person behind the self-striping balls of yarn like Caution Stripe, but she's also got a ton of variegated and semi-solid colorways. And you can find her at www.inspirationdyeworks.etsy.com. She is going to give you, one of you, a custom colorway of your choice or one of the colorways in her shop for free. So it can be one of the self-stripings, one of the variegateds, whatever you work out with her. So that's going to be our contest for this week. And the question that she's posing for y'all is, what is your favorite yarn, colorway, or base that she has in her shop? So we'll open that thread tomorrow. And then we also have the awesomeness from Melissa Jean buttons to give away.
Yep, we had 94 entries, and the prompt was do a random act of kindness and tell us about it. There were some very sweet ones in there.
Very sweet ones and some really awesome ones. So the first thing is for these button earrings.
And like I said, there were 94 entries, so I'm doing 2 through 95. I'm going to hit generate. And the first number is 94.
That's awesome.
94 is Shannon M. She made a donation to send to some friends' Kickstarter campaign to make their new album.
Wonderful.
So
well, these
congratulations,
lovely
Shannon
earrings,
M.
which I've already put away. There you go. Are going to be on your way to you. Just PM me with you. That's Laura, Lala Unravelry, with your address. And I will send them to you. And then the second thing that Melissa Jean gave us, which was super sweet, are these buttons.
I think they would be great, like one on a hat, you know, like as an accent. Because they're so large, I don't know if they would work. Unless it was for like a Liesel cardigan or something.
Yeah, something that's
just
got
buttons
like
at the top,
just the
maybe.
two at the top.
Yeah.
So those gorgeous buttons.
I'm going to hit generate again. It says the number is 4. 94 and 4. Okay, so 4 is, let's see.
You'll never get there.
I will eventually. It is Glenna 11. Today I called the recycling scrapyard and asked if they would take a gas grill, and they said yes. So I asked if they knew of anyone that could use the money. They gave me a phone number, so I called the guy and told him he was welcome to take it, and he came right over and got it.
Awesome.
That's sweet and very random and
very awesome.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
So these buttons,
Glenna 11, just PM
me.
Laura on Ravelry.
And they will be on their way to you.
Yep, Laura's been pretty good about shipping stuff because she's able to be home during the
Because
day.
I'm not working.
Well, you work during the year.
But anyway, that's it for
For real this time. Y'all have a great week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.